Bill Pritchard, WrestleZone, here with Baron Corbin. I heard you in your last interview. You're a dad, girl dad.
Yes. Two maniac gremlin children.
I understand that more. Yes.
All girls?
Yep.
Oh no.
So I get it a little bit.
Yeah.
What's the best part about being a girl dad that maybe you didn't expect?
Everything. I mean, that's such a bad answer because I was a sports guy. I wanted boys. I was like, I need a boy. I got to have a boy. And then I had girls. Now I'm like, everybody's like, do you want to try for a third with a boy? I go, no, because I like having girls. I want nothing to do with a boy. They are so sweet. And like, they're both hell raisers, like to no extent. My 5-year-old especially is just an absolute menace. And how you can be so mad at what they're doing in 1 second, and then the next second they smile at you and give you a hug, and you're like, oh yeah, you can destroy the furniture. It's fine. I love you. Like, that's the best part. It's that unconditional love. It's so cheesy, but the girls just, they love, their dad. And it's, Triple H actually told me one time when I told him, I was like, I'm having another girl. Like, and he's like, no, girls are the best, because he's like, girls will always come back home forever, their whole life. They're going to come back home. And where boys go off and start their own family and kind of do their own thing. He's like, and it's true, because my wife still goes to her parents once a week for dinner. Like, we go over, like, I think that's a cool thing to look forward to as well.
See, that was a really good answer. I talked right here.
Yeah, hey, got the feels.
All in my emotions. So I just read something, actually, coincidentally, I think it was Bill's interview. He talked to Carmelo Hayes. He said that you've been giving him a little bit of veteran advice, how to deal with the transition from NXT to the main roster. I feel like your career's just getting started, despite, like, I've seen you in NXT at Full Sail. Like, I was at those events. So it's been a few years, but I still feel like you're early in your career. Do you see yourself as a veteran, or how do you react when people say that stuff? Like, you're looked at in that way.
Yeah. It's a tough pill to swallow sometimes, because you don't want to be getting older in the game. Like, it's not something you want. And like, sometimes people are like, oh man, I grew up watching you. And you're like, dude, you're like 18. What are you talking about? And then you realize, wait, they could have been watching me when they were 8. Then yes, they did grow up on me. Like, you're like, whoa, this is wild. But I do feel like I'm just getting started too. Like, I feel like, especially after that run in NXT and rejuvenating myself and my career for that matter, I think it's day one for me back on the main roster. At least that's what it feels like. What can I accomplish now? I think we've done a good job of kind of trying to make people not necessarily forget about the past and the other gimmicks like Sad Corbin, Happy Corbin, and King Corbin, all those things. But I think that they've gone, oh man, I think for the first time we're getting the real Baron Corbin and who he is. So I think it's really awesome that that's happening. And that's the way it feels for me. It feels fresh every week to get on a plane and go, where maybe a year ago, before I went and did all the NXT stuff, it was kind of dragging, I don't want to get on a plane. I got to go to work now. I'm excited for Thursday to roll around and get on the plane and go to SmackDown.
You worked with Braun Breaker. You did your thing with the Wolf Dogs. You just teamed up with Apollo Crews. It's kind of a general question, but what else do you want to accomplish this year? Is it tag team gold? Is there anything specific?
I think it's a multitude of things. I think it's a goal of reintroducing myself to the audience. They're cheering for me for once. So that's kind of new and fresh and feels weird. So I want to continue to amplify that. How much can I get the people behind me? Can I give them that authenticity? And then with the Apollo Crews stuff, it was something that just kind of got thrown together. I don't know if there was a plan, but it worked out well, and it's continuing to go. And I think, I always say I want to climb the ladder of the titles. I want to get those tag team titles on the main roster. I had them on NXT, and that was really fun and exciting to have those, working with Braun and doing the Wolf Dog thing, which maybe we get back to, maybe in a year or two down the road. That'd be awesome. But running with Apollo, get those tag team titles, and then move on to the next. I want to get that U.S. title. We'll see what happens this weekend between L.A. and Logan, and we'll see who walks away with it. Maybe if Logan walks away with it, then I can go after him and try to get that title. But I've been in the ring with every major superstar there is, from Taker to Roman to Cena to Seth. I have not been in the ring with Cody, so getting in the mix with him is a goal for me. I have not been in the ring with Priest, so that's a goal. But it's getting that world title. I want that on my Wikipedia page, if you will. I want that on my list of accomplishments, that I was a world champion. And I think it's important to get, and I think now's the time to do that with the momentum I have and the energy I have towards what I'm doing. I think it's important to make that run. So by the end of this year, I'm watching SummerSlam from the sidelines. So that's one of those things that stings, but I know I just got back up here with Triple H in control. They're smaller cards for the pay-per-views. So you're really fighting for those spots. So I want to start by the end of the year by getting on a PLE and rocking and rolling, and then rolling into Rumble and maybe mixing it up with Cena along the way. That's a goal I have before he leaves. And then, to be on that WrestleMania card. I think that's right now is the short-term goal, is to get on that WrestleMania card.
You mentioned Wikipedia, so here's a little bit of trivia or a stat. You've heard it mentioned before. You had Roman Reigns' pinfall loss. I'm screwing myself up, but Cody was the first to do it since you. How do you feel having that sort of feather in your cap, even though Cody's the most recent, but for the longest time, you were the guy. So how do you feel about being part of that trivia?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing to have that. And, Roman elevates everybody that he's around, whether it's in the ring or in promos or whatever. So to continue to have my name for so long in the same conversation as Cody and Roman and all the other people that fell short of beating Roman, it made me feel like I was always in the mix. And it made people, even when I was in NXT, they're going, well, Corbin's still the only one to beat him. Maybe he's the one that can beat, Roman and take the title. So it was cool to kind of have people think that, maybe I was the guy to do it at some points. Wishful thinking on all of our parts. But it's cool to always have your name in the mix with guys like that.
If I'm cooking on a budget, give me the best cut of meat that's bang for your buck. I know you probably don't do it that much, but
absolutely. So for the longest time, I would tell you like a skirt steak, outside skirt steak, because they were cheap, but they've gotten expensive. So for me, bang for the buck, you get a hanger steak, which nobody, really buys hanger steaks. It used to be called the butcher's cut because the butchers always took them home. They're very inexpensive. They're amazing. You can pair them with like a romesco, or you can just eat it as a steak with some chimichurri, put it on a flatbread if you want. Hanger steaks are money and super affordable.